Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Hey everyone, I was hoping to get this message put together sooner, but things like this unfortunately take time to set up. I just want to say that the acts of war against Ukraine break my heart, and I know as a prior service member myself that my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's fighting the fight that they really shouldn't have to. That being said, we have been working behind the scenes with all of our podcasts and podcast partners to put a fund together in order to pay for any refugee housing and other needs that go alongside that, like food, water, and any clothing needs. Internally, many podcasts in the Hospitality FM network have voluntarily given up sponsorship money in order to donate to the cause and are working on a unified message in order to spread throughout all of our podcasts. So this is me calling out to all of our property manager friends, industry experts, and anyone knowing of those providing lodging for Ukrainian refugees seeking safety. You can contact me directly at will with one L, WIL at slicktalkmedia.com. We have an internal document that is being updated in real time. So if anyone can share this message within your network, we greatly appreciate it. I'm also placing in the show notes a link to our GoFundMe and landing page for Rentals to Rescue. That's rentalstorescue.com, where we're putting funds together in order to, again, provide finances for any of these lodging and relocation needs. So thank you so much for tuning into this quick message. I hope you guys are all well and safe, as I know we have tons of listeners in Ukraine and other countries in Europe. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Running a short-term rental business is challenging and time-consuming. Whether it's 10 units or 1,000 units, trying to keep up with the latest trends, technology, hardware, revenue management, guest support, and R&D, it's become almost impossible and increasingly more expensive for the everyday host. On top of that, all of this tedious work does not allow you to focus on what matters most, and that is your guest. Luckily, this will no longer be a problem. Introducing Journey's MOS, the newest and most advanced tech solution in hospitality. Journey's MOS provides you with a one-stop solution that will automate your entire operation and take care of all of your back office work, allowing you to fully focus on growing your business the way you want to. To learn more about MOS, visit Journey online at journey.com. That's Journey, JURNY.com. Good morning.
Best day of the year on the first day of the year.
Happy New Year.
The first Monday of 2022. It's pretty crazy. Can't believe we made it. We're still,
it really
still
sounds
together.
like
The
the
band's
future.
still
When it's
together.
like, if you really think about 2022, sounds so like the future, isn't it? Even though it's reality now.
Yeah,
We're here.
I agree. We made it. Well, exciting times. We got to take a week off last week due to the holiday because we all need a little bit of time to relax. I definitely needed it and enjoyed it. Did you guys get to do anything fun for New Year's Eve? Anything exciting, or did you guys go to bed at 9 o'clock like I expect you guys probably did?
It was closer to 10.
Okay. Cool. How about you, Ross? You go to bed early
I
or
wasn't
you
a
stay up late?
no. I stayed awake, even though it was pretty tough. Around 9, I was like, Jesus, do I really have to stay up for all those hours? It was getting old. No, it was nice. I was in the Netherlands, even though they're in the Netherlands is lockdown. Still, I was with my parents and my sister. So it was good to see them again. We had fun.
Yeah.
And I think I think it was 1 o'clock, and I was like out. So then became so late. Maybe it's the age, but it was good to see them again. So it was good to be back in the Netherlands, even though that one was open. And now back home.
Awesome. Well, Golden, your new office color is looking great. Yeah, you're not blending into the wall as much.
Yeah, it is gray.
I love it.
But
well,
you paint, you did it by yourself? That was you painted by yourself?
Yeah, these two hands right here.
They actually work.
It's a small room. It wasn't very.
But it was really for the podcast to have better see the contrast better.
100%.
Yeah, there was a lot of.
I'm pretty pale.
A lot of people, viewers, were just complaining about it. Right, we had a lot of. I think.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty pale, and having a white wall kind of washes me out. So I had to go dark and contrast.
Yeah, we don't want our viewers to have
my jumper. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want the viewers to have to wear sunglasses while they watch us. So, keeping it real for them. Well, speaking of viewers, we got a couple live viewers today. So thank you guys for joining us. We are always excited to go live on Monday. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Journey for being our episode sponsor this week. So Journey, if you don't know who they are, they're operators, but they're also a great platform for operators to use to grow and scale their vacation rental business. So check them out at journey.com. Gotta give them a quick shout out here. We don't have a What's with the Noise this week, but we do have a startup of the week. So I'm going to let Michael Ross take it away, and then we'll come back and discuss this week's topic, which is 2022 going to be as positive and as impactful as we hope and think it will be? We'll find out. So here's the startup of the week, and here we go.
Yeah, it's not a new startup. They actually started around 3-4 years ago already. It's called Wheel the World. And actually, it's an online platform for people with disabilities. And actually, they can book accessible travel experience and tours and accommodation. So they raised, I think, $2.5 million. They get quite some grants as well. I saw that Meta gave a grant to them, and they get a few more. So actually, it's amazing that they're providing a service like this and make actually as a social startup, helping actually people with disabilities also to travel and finding great properties. So guys, congrats. Even though they started a bit more than a decent 5 years ago already, 4 years ago. I hope they'll grow quicker. But I think they seem to do quite well. Everything looks pretty good. I had a look at their website, and yeah, guys, well done, and then good luck in the future.
Awesome. Did they raised any capital or anything recently, or were they just part of the Focusrite?
No, they did. They joined the Plug and Play. They did some seed rounds, but actually the round where they get actually was they did some smaller rounds, in total $2.5 million divided over 9 rounds.
Gotcha.
And they get some grants as well. So
gotcha. Cool. Did you get to meet them in person in Miami or no? No. Okay. Dang it. Next time.
Well, I actually like their initiative. That's why I want to get them actually as a startup of the week.
Gotcha. I love that. Well, our startups of the week usually do really good after they get on the show. We give them a couple of mentions, they take off, and they either sell their company for billions of dollars or have a really successful exit. So we're just doing our part. And it looks like Golden is having technical difficulties, so we'll give him a minute to come back. But Ross, I kind of want to get your thoughts right out of the gate. I feel like there's obviously some challenges last year. With the obvious, which is COVID, but in business in general, personal life, I think a lot of us are feeling very optimistic about how this year is going to end and to be. We're hoping that the dumpster fire of 2021 goes away, and 2022 really just changes the pace and the tone for the industry. So I'd love to know your thoughts. If you feel the same way, do you think things might go backtracking a little bit? What are your thoughts here so far?
I'm extremely positive. I think I never had so many things planned or I had in mind to go somewhere. So I think I'm really positive. And I think what is the biggest change is that before the government, for example, then said that you shouldn't travel. Now they're saying is that just look at the local restrictions. So I think the whole approach is differently. The Netherlands is a lockdown, but they said that everything is not allowed in the Netherlands, but they say you can travel, but just make sure you just comply with the local regulations, so and restrictions. So I think
but if
again
things are locked down, what's the point in traveling, right?
no, but people want to. They said you can still travel to different places, right, to different countries. So this is something they're promoting. I was like for a few days in a holiday park in the Netherlands. It was quite nice to stay there, and everything was the shops were open and stuff. So, but yeah, of course, facilities were closed, but people still want to go somewhere. So, and I think if there's some other restrictions, I think it will not restrict traveling. So, and I think also people missed traveling the last year. So I think they'll travel longer, further. And that was what I scheduled. I go in a few weeks. I'll go for 2 weeks. I go to Dubai, and I'm gonna work from there, and probably do the podcast recording from there as well. So, and just work from there. A nice environment, a bit warmer than in here. And I think that's what people do more now more and more. So, I think people will travel. I said it before. People will still travel. Probably, maybe the frequency will be less, but I think the duration will be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Golden?
Maybe contrarian to Ross, like, what's the point in traveling to the Netherlands if everything's locked down? What's the point in traveling to Ireland if the pubs close at 8, right? So I think so long as countries have any restrictions in place and don't say we're completely open for business, it's going to dampen travel. And in the US, you can see it by where people are traveling. There's not a whole lot of people clamoring to go to New York or clamoring to go to California. They're going to Florida, they're going to Colorado, they're going to Texas, they're going to places that are open without restrictions where when you travel, things won't change overnight. And, I have typically taken 1 or 2 or 3 trips to Europe per year, but I did 2 last year, and it was manageable, but it was late summer. Everyone was kind of through the summer dip in cases, so things were pretty open. But looking at the Netherlands and Ireland and in various countries, like, it's challenging to say I'm going to go there. I'm supposed to go to Scotland in March. Probably not going to happen because I don't know where regulations are going to fall, and it takes too much time to plan trips and too much money to just like cancel on them if regulations change. But as we get further and further into 2022, I do think the world is going to move past COVID and really realize that it's here to stay, and there's not really much we can do about it. Get vaccinated. If you're sick, stay at home. If you're sick, stay away from the elderly. But at the end of the day, like, we gotta realize as a society, getting coronavirus down to 0 is never going to happen. Just never going to. So we have to learn how to live with it.
I agree.
As Michael said, I think it's important people take the responsibilities and do what they can do. It will help a lot already. And people want to travel, and those things will start. And I went to the Netherlands. I went to move from a country where now in Poland almost everything is possible. Maybe the hotels, they can only have a 30% occupancy, but that's pretty the only restriction there is. Everything is just open. I went to a country which is in lockdown. Even though I really enjoyed it, and of course you couldn't do all the things, right? You couldn't go to a restaurant. On the other hand, you do different things. You just go maybe more for walks to the forest. You just see different things in the place, and of course you have your limitations, but I still enjoyed it a lot. And I think it's also, of course, specific city trips that will be super tough, right? Because you go to a city trip just to visit, for example, go to a museum, just go to restaurants, or go for parties. This will be tough. I think places I went to the countryside eventually to stay there with my family. We're in a nice nature area. Then it's fine. So I think it's also some specific destinations that will have difficulties. I think everything around countrysides and the vacation around everything near the beach areas will do fine. And I think a really strong 2022.
Yeah. So to answer Christian's question, the biggest challenge this year depends on what segment you're in. If you're in If you're in a hotel in Amsterdam, it's regulations. If you're at a vacation rental in Florida, it's supply, right? Because demand is too high. So the biggest challenge really is geo-specific, and we talked about it on the last show of the year last year. But I think it's a big competitive advantage depending on where you're located, whether you're a startup or whether you're a operator, or a hotel or a vacation rental. Like, where, just by the luck of the draw and what governments are controlling, what's going on in your area, makes a big difference between you and your competition. Places that are completely shut down is obviously not a good thing for business, but places that are completely wide open is an extremely good thing for business. So,
but this is going to happen. I think there will be specific destinations they want to have. Indeed, they want to have a strong recovery, even like a huge boom or boost on travel, and they're just going to remove all restrictions, and it means there will have a huge boost. If there's whatever, any countries like, we just removing all the restrictions, everything is possible, people go there. That's massive, right? So you can see the same like Dubai. Cases are low,
Croatia,
everything is possible, it's really under control. And yeah, I mean, this is what you will see. And if countries like, okay, we there's no restrictions or limited restrictions, and it's a bit under control in here, and it's a high numbers of vaccinated people, means the number of cases, it's under control, people will travel there. So I think there will be specific destinations. They say, okay, there's really disadvantage now that other countries has the restrictions.
Yeah, I think another one of the bigger challenges, a lot of, especially city center hotels, rentals, things like that, rely on conferences. And I'm supposed to go to CES this week, huge consumer electronic show out in Las Vegas. It's global. My guess is it'll be half as populated as it typically will be. So, you got shows like this where every room in Vegas is typically booked, but that's just not the case again this year. So yeah, I think, again, depending on where you are and what market you cater to, if you cater heavily towards business travel, I actually think business travel is going to start really rebounding this year, but it's not going to be in Q1 for sure. I think we'll start seeing it slowly get back to normal, probably 23, 24. But this year it'll bounce back a lot compared to last year.
Do you think business travel in the sense of big groups of a company traveling together, or is it just more or less like people like in your position, Michael, where you're used to traveling and you travel probably the least amount in your career last year, you're going to start getting back into that normal routine? Or what kind of business travel are we describing here?
Yeah, I think it's the road warriors slowly getting back to being on the road more. But I also think the whole work remote opens up a brand new segment of travel, which is bringing people together, bringing teams together. So you could have a global team where historically you were only in one city, but every quarter now you're bringing in 10, 15 people that aren't used to traveling to some specific destination. So the type of corporate traveler is likely to change a little bit. But it opens up people who haven't traveled quite as much. I do think the road warriors this year are going to be back at it. And it's, again, a competitive advantage. If I can get face-to-face with somebody and my competitor can't, I'm likely gonna win the business. That's just the way it is.
Especially when it's you, Michael. When they see you,
especially when it's me.
What we saw last year in Focus, right? It was half of the people from the years before, right? So I think the year before was canceled. The year before was like, I think 1,400 people. I think the last Focus rate was around 700. But it was really good and effective, and I think that's going to happen more. Is okay, if you could travel to a conference, must be a real reason to go there, and not just as a break, to go somewhere. So I think the conference will be more effective and productive. I think that's good. And I think what Michael said, the whole remote working will make a shift. But for example, by coincidence, I just mentioned I go to Dubai. There's actually, they asked me if I just spoke to a friend. Like, it will be great. We have a small conference in here. Can you speak there? So at the end, you combine those things as well, which is super cool. So I would just do it. So you just have different kind of experiences. You go somewhere, you know a few people who live there who are just in the business, one of the distribution of Marriott. I said, let's go for a coffee. So normally you won't meet them. You just go, just like, let's combine it. So I think that's also nice if you travel to different places. Often you know somebody, you just do catch up, and you're still discussing the business in a personal way.
My answer to Christian's question of what the biggest challenge I think 2022 will bring for travel companies or hospitality in general, I think is going to be reaching their audience in a different and more unique way. I think we've been so inundated with webinars, and I'm guilty of this, LinkedIn posts and podcasts. Like, podcasts are great, and that's why we're obviously like doing this podcast and doing HFM. But I think so many people are getting used to, I would say, not to like not call out anybody, but I was gonna say,
behind the desk.
I was gonna say, like, everyone's used to kind of lower quality content when it comes to the stuff, because everyone's just trying. Everyone's like, oh, I'll do this. We can do that. We can create a webinar, and not really bringing any value. And so that attendance level, I think we're gonna see shift downward when it comes to your audience, reaching your audience in a more powerful way. I think it's time that companies like Marriott and Airbnb and Vrbo and all these either big OTAs or service providers, they're going to need to step up their game when it comes to really connecting with the people and getting that viewership to engage, not just view. So that's kind of my biggest challenge I think we'll see for the next year coming up. So
I think what Christian's, back to Christian's question, what can happen, which is bad for the market, which is a challenge, is that people just start booking a lot of hotels in different places because they don't know where to go. Right? It's okay, I would just book something. I'll book something in the US. I'll book something in Mexico. I'll book something in the UK. Whatever, I book different places. I can cancel them for free. No worries. And then eventually, just 1 or 2 days before, you're canceling 5 of the 6 reservations. And then I think that will be a big challenge, actually, and that can be good. So I think this is going to happen. The same way you can see the flexibility with airlines, you can keep changing your flight tickets, full flexibility there. So I think this could be pretty tough for the hotels and the accommodations.
Yeah, when I flew home from Dublin last year, I went through Amsterdam, and the flight was full. And when we got to the gate, didn't look like the flight was full, and I asked the gate agent, like, are we expecting a full flight? Well, 49 people haven't showed up yet, so it'll probably be a pretty empty flight. So people, to Ross's point, you can change last minute with no penalty as a result of COVID rules, right? Trying to be traveler friendly. But at some point, as an industry, we've got to shift back, and you can't run a profitable business taking 20% last minute cancellations and taking that loss. It's just not viable. So hopefully this year we can all get back to booking trips, sticking to them, and if not, there's a financial penalty.
Well,
but is that going to maybe influence the yielding and revenue management for hotels? Like, normally, for example, airlines, they always do overbookings, and maybe they said we did 10% overbookings. Doesn't matter. We just go much higher overbookings because we just know there will be more cancellations. And then the danger is that probably there will be more overbookings if people indeed show up. And the same with the property, it's probably going to happen, right? Because, you see vacation rental, you see majority, quite a lot of them, they're actually non-refundable, I see. But if you look at the hotel, it's pretty flexible. And that's probably going to just do overbookings now, if they can because they might, see those cancellations coming.
For like vacation rentals, like I know for us at Recreation, we have a lot of other companies do too. You pay up front. The moment you book, you pay. Our hotel is going to go into that model as well, more because when I was a manager, we would have that, pay now and save 10% type deal, which is great. But at the end of the day, you still have those restrictions that go with that policy and whatnot. So do you think hotels are going to shift towards that, or are they going to, or vacation rental is going to shift away from the pay now type model and say pay,
Nah,
24 hours now?
they both make sense for their market. If you have one vacation rental and you lose that booking, you lose 100% of your revenue.
Yeah.
If you can get one more booking because of flexibility in hotels, then that's incremental revenue. So I mean, they're doing it for a reason. But if travel recovers in any reasonable way this year, on top of what it did last year, I mean, let's not ignore the fact that 2021 was not a terrible year for most people in travel, outpacing expectations at least.
Yeah.
And so if we continue to go on that train, that path, I think we're in a spot that we can get back to pseudo life as normal. But we'll see. I think there's a lot of question marks still up in the air on, I've got a flight Wednesday to Las Vegas. I'm looking at how many flights have been canceled in America in the past 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
I don't know if I'm going to get out. And if I get out, it'd be worse to not even be able to get back. Right. So, it's a fear that people have when they're traveling now, and it probably deters people from traveling. I'm legitimately concerned that I'll get out there and then my flight home will be canceled, and then my wife will be mad at me because I'm stuck in Vegas for an extra 2 days. Right?
In the weekend, so coincidence, right?
I would say, I wish only if you had some gambling money you could pass the time with, right? So
hey, gotta get some of that. Gotta go Uber.
But to go back, you might see bigger difference when you say you pay direct to the hotels. Maybe it was a 10% discount when you pay directly and not refundable. Probably the discount's going to be higher now, right? So you might even go maybe 20 or 25% okay if you pay directly, and because they're expecting high cancellations. I'm pretty curious if the larger OTAs, and probably not, because if you see you making 5 bookings on the same date, right? There's a pretty big chance, just say 20%, that actually they're just going to stay in this property, and 80% you're going to cancel this property if you book on the same place. So I hope with this data, and maybe channel managers can play a role there when they also have some revenue toolings. Okay, actually, there's expectations actually for this date. Yes, you have actually we opening more inventory, more availability, because most likely you're going to be canceled. There's a bigger chance. There's a lot of data available because for the OTA should have with channel managers as well. But probably they won't do. And again, I don't hope it's going to happen, but for sure you see a lot of people they keep changing their travel plans. Yeah. I think that will be the biggest challenge actually of 2022. Not the demand, people will travel, but more that the flexibility could hurt actually the accommodations or the airlines.
For sure. And that's why places like Croatia that have been pretty wide open are probably going to continue to be the top travel destinations, because people know if I book a trip to Croatia or to Florida, I'm going to be able to take that trip, and I'm going to be able to not eat in my hotel and drink a beer at 7:00 in my room because the pub is closed, right? Yeah. You're going on vacation. You're not traveling to a different place to be put in lockdown prison. So I think, there's places that I would love to go. Amsterdam is one of my favorite cities in the world. I used to go there quite a bit for work. Doesn't make sense to go to Amsterdam. So any business that's based in Amsterdam now no longer has travelers coming to visit them either. So it just makes it challenging depending on geographies. So I hope.
But again, you see the impact, right? In the Netherlands, with restrictions, then restaurant, everything is closed there. Like, of course, they let the workforce go. And then when it can go open in 2 months again, or a month or whatever, we'll see. You have no staff. So this will be the other challenge in the hospitality, that people now, because of the lockdowns, people just go to different jobs, right? And to get them back again. And that's also why restaurants and they're complaining. First of all, they're missing the revenue now, but they're just missing people as well when they start opening again. So
yeah, it's a good point. Really good point.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to change either. Like, I think the washout of hospitality staff is going to continue. Why would there be an end in sight, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. travel is still unpredictable. Shutdowns, when you're stuck at home and you're not a salaried employee, you're going to go get another job. And then we have a learning curve, and then hospitality suffers, and then people don't want to travel because service sucks. And then, it's a vicious cycle. So you do what you can to keep your staff, train the staff that you get, give top-notch service, and people will talk about it, especially nowadays.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think we've gotten used to poor service. In my opinion, the amount of hotels and either whatever restaurant or property I've stayed at, they're comfortable being not as polite and hospitable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see if that will increase or decrease or stay the same.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that a lot in restaurants and hotels. It's certainly moving towards the people light model where you don't see many people in a hotel anymore. But you do in restaurants, and it's, definitely you notice it. Service is slower. It's not as pleasant or as skilled or as trained or whatever. So,
yeah.
All right. Instead of the
whose brand
is it anyway, we're going to shift it out for the first day of the year. We'll get back to that next week, but thought it would be fun. There was a Skift article last week making some wild yet potentially realistic predictions. We're just going to go with wild predictions. They are probably not realistic. But as an example, one of the Skift articles was Marriott buys Vrbo and further garners themselves in the short-term rental space. So, it's not impossible. It's not probable, but it's fun to play these games. So, Will, let's kick off with you.
My wild headline has to do with Marriott, because you guys know I love Marriott. Marriott develops and builds the first CryptoPunk hotel. So if you don't know what CryptoPunk is, it's like an NFT thing that's been going off crazy, and I've been researching it. They talked about going into cryptocurrency. So when I read that Skift article, I immediately thought of Marriott, and then I was like, this is a stupid but probably improbable prediction headline that they would go into a CryptoPunk hotel. But hey, why not put it out there, and maybe I'll win some money in the future if they do it. So that's mine. Yeah.
Ross?
I think there will be an airline who converts all their airplanes into hotels because it doesn't fly anymore.
In a hotel graveyard out in the middle of nowhere in Nevada?
They just land all their planes in the middle of nowhere, and they're starting a new, and they just have a fleet of, just say, 50 planes.
All right.
And convert them all into rooms.
All right.
That'd be interesting.
Well, I'm going to take a totally different angle. Pfizer is sitting on record profits, decides to buy Delta and American and force jabs for all travelers, driving up profits even further.
Yay. That's that's the worst article headline.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
2022 headlines. Here we come.
You heard it here first. We're gonna have
hopefully none of us is right.
Yeah, I really, really hope not. Okay. Well, anything else for the audience this week, or we just gonna wrap this bad boy up and call it a happy new year for everybody who's listening?
No, I think Will have his Amazon Prime or Netflix series at the end of the year.
Oh, actually, I can't say it. Michael knows. Well, Golden knows. I won't be on Amazon Prime or Netflix, but I'll be on something else. So,
Oh.
If you guys are,
you need us to be there as co-stars or supporting actors.
Yeah. If you guys can just fly out to Vegas, and not this week, but it's sometime next month. We can get that filming.
Oh.
You guys are Apple TV subscribers.
Yeah.
No big
If
deal.
Not subscribe now.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a future announcement for a later date. But awesome. Well, happy New Year, guys. Great to record with you again. And to all our viewers who've been tuning in live throughout this whole episode, you rock. We're excited to finally see the live listenership go up rather than the listenership post live. But anyways, we'll have a new revamp of the show here soon, coming up with some new music. We're going to restyle things. So I'm excited for the 2022 year for us as a podcast, and for, of course, our amazing co-hosts to be rocking this year as well. So you guys all are awesome, and we'll tune in again next week.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.